So I'll give him this. Patrick Mahomes is 1-3 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Isn't that the rival? Don't you already have a rival?
No.
What do you mean?
I mean, he needs a rival. The way that we grew up with rivals, right? So, like, I always bring up the NBA because the NBA, by far, in our lifetime, has had the most fleshed out, obvious, clear, unforgettable rivals, at least of my lifetime. So it's like Magic, Bird. It's Michael versus Magic versus Bird versus Isaiah. I think he's got. I'll give you an example in the NFL world. Like, what made Tom Brady great over the years wasn't just Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. You know, it was Tom Brady versus the history of Joe Montana. It was someone to measure. Like, as much as I love greatness, I love to be able to measure greatness against other greatness, particularly in real time. The problem is right now with Patrick Mahomes, where he's at this fast, the 2 Super Bowls, the 2 Super Bowl MVPs, the 2 regular season MVPs, just the sheer dominance over the AFC and in the span of his starting career. No one's really shown up. And I know it looked like, hey, baby Joe Burrow. But again, Joe Burrow's got to beat him more than just getting to the Super Bowl. Someone's got to win titles, okay? Someone's got to bring hardware to the table. And then we start to say, okay, well, who's the best out of these two? Or because it can't right now, who are we measuring him against? We're measuring him against Brady. That's the conversation we're having about Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and I agree. I love your point about Brady Manning. I was a part of many Brady Manning. I was a moderator. Part of many Brady Manning debates. But wait a minute now, you make a good point over here, but consider this point, back and forth. But remember, listen, Tom Brady had 3 championships. Let me see if my math is right. I think it was. Brady had 3 championships. Manning had 0. And yet Manning, early in his career, Manning was considered the greatest. And Brady was considered not necessarily a system guy, but, good, but not on Peyton. Because think about it, before Tom won, so Tom had Super Bowl MVPs and no regular season MVPs. Peyton had regular season MVPs, including this ridiculous co-MVP that you football writers, I know it wasn't you, but you football writers, it's like we can't make up our minds. Let's give it to both of them. Participation trophy for both of these great champions, these great players. So, but he had MVPs, regular season MVPs. He had all the records, but he didn't have a title. But people still looked at him as a worthy rival to Tom Brady. And so I think the same thing can happen right now. Mahomes is awesome. I love watching him. I love even imagining what he's going to be when he's 30. And dude's 27 years old and crushing it. What's he going to be at 30? What's he going to figure out? What's he going to unlock?
But see, Michael, what the difference was when you compared Brady and Peyton Manning stylistically, one, it was the winning, because early on, so it was Brady. Okay, well, Brady's already winning. So that elevated him up into this echelon, right? Well, how did Peyton get there? It was his mastery over the position. It was statistical. I mean, he statistically blew it out. It was the pedigree coming into it. It was all these different things. The problem with Mahomes is he has both. He masters the position. He has the arm. He has the hardware. He has both sides of the ledger. So it's not like we all of a sudden, because remember, we wanted to put Josh Allen in it, right? We're like, well, Josh Allen's got the arm talent. He's in the AFC. They met in the AFC title game. This is going to be the, this is going to be the comparison we're going to have to make against these two players. But he's dominated Josh Allen statistically. He's dominated Josh Allen in terms of the hardware. He's dominated the position over everybody. That's the problem. There's no peer that he has where we're like, well, this guy's just statistically better, or he plays the position better, or with more flair, or with a greater skill set. He has all of it. He has everything. I mean, there's a chance that this feels to me like, and I said this after, sitting there and soaking in the Super Bowl win, I was like, this is starting to feel like the beginning of when we were looking at Tiger Woods at the beginning. We were like, well, Jack Nicklaus is the only one we can really compare this guy to. Like, this is where it's going. That's what it feels like, that there's not going to be any peer around him that we can measure him by. It's going to have to be the forward success of who is the greatest and now the chase.
But look what happened there. Look what happened
Yeah,
with
well,
Tiger. And I know. And look, I know there are other issues. There are other issues.
There are other
I'm not
issues
getting into that. Okay, I'm not going there on Valentine's Day. Not on Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Not on Valentine's Day. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
We
y'all.
should. Why not? Come on, let's go
Not
ahead.
today. Not today. Hey, listen, love is many things, right? Love can be beautiful and like it can be idyllic, and then there's an ugly side too. There's an ugly side of it when things go wrong, when things go left.
Also,
ladies and gentlemen, here's Tiger Woods. But
also costly.
But we thought,
costly on both ends.
That is costly. Oh, that's very costly. It's very costly. It can be costly to your finances and costly to your person as well. But we thought that Tiger. I remember watching Tiger at the beginning. I said, oh yeah, Jack. It's only a matter of time. Because Jack didn't have this like Tiger has, and Tiger's in. No, the funny thing is, now this really is. This is funny, because we were so out of it media-wise. I think I may have even written this. I bought the narrative. Like Tiger, he hits it longer than anybody else. He's in his hotel room studying yardage books. No. He wanted to. No, that wasn't what he was doing.
No,
that's what he wasn't doing that. He wasn't studying that. Whew. He was studying a lot of things, but it wasn't yardage books. No. But we thought it was just a matter of time. Tiger's going to pass Jack. Well, he still hasn't. And he won't get there. It looks like he won't get there, right? It's not going to happen. Well,
physical, though.
Tom Brady.
Right? It wasn't the talent. It was physical, right? We can say that.
Well, with Tom Brady. All right, Tom Brady, I just told you, 3 championships in 4 years, 2 Super Bowl MVPs in 4 years, just like Patrick Mahomes. So he's in his 20s. He's an icon. And then what happens? They go 10 years, Charles, 10 years between Super Bowls. Now, that's not to say they didn't get back. They almost went undefeated until they didn't. They almost beat the Giants a second time until Wes Welker dropped a pass that could have really put them in position to win the game. Like all these things happened. They went to AFC Championship games. They were competitive. They were seen as the model organization when they weren't getting nabbed for Spygate and Deflategate. But hey, listen, don't let the details get in the way. The point is, you had Tom Brady, you had Bill Belichick, you were winning games, and you were stuck on 3 for a while. So I know we want to anoint Mahomes, and I'm making the same mistake. I'm right there with you. I'm with you. I'm more on your side than against, but I'm using your argument to argue against myself because I don't want to fall into these traps that we often fall into when we see a transcendent player like Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, so that's it. We have his rival. His rival is time, right? It's time in the elements. It's when does someone fall on his ankle and it's not okay? When has something happened that's catastrophic that can't be overcome? Now, we lost Brady for a season to a torn ACL, right? So that's also possible with Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, I would agree with you that there are a lot of unknowns moving forward, but the start is the start. It is what it is. Like this is, it looked early on in year 1 as a starter, which obviously was year 2 for him in the NFL. Year 3 as a starter. All of a sudden we were like, wow, this is just different. He looks different. Everything about him looks different. And now he's been able to meet that challenge. The question is, how long does Andy Reid stick around for this? How long can they take advantage of the fact that, his contract that he signed, that 10-year, $450 million contract, doesn't look great, but honestly, it's a team-friendly deal because it gives them a locked-in price for a long period of time. They should be able to work around that deal. It's not quite the bargains that Tom Brady was necessarily doling out over the course of his career, but it gives the Chiefs an ability to keep building around Patrick Mahomes moving forward, as long as they don't make too many mistakes. But yeah, I guess maybe that's just his rival right now. It's just time and what does he lose along the way? Because I don't know if, Tom Brady, we can say whatever we want about Bill Belichick and who was most deserving of the praise and the success in that relationship. I just don't know if Andy's sticking around for another 15 years, or for that matter, whether or not Patrick Mahomes wants to stick around for another 15 years.
Yeah, that's true. But Patrick Mahomes, you talk about the rivals. Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes because you said the rival may be time, the rival may be Tom, the rival, may be all sorts of things. But I think the rival was fluid too. If you listen to what he has to say here, here's Mahomes talking about keeping receipts. And so we'll talk about it on the other side of this. Check it out.
Last night you mentioned that you were aware of some of the critics during the offseason about the Chiefs team. How often do you keep receipts, of that kind of stuff, like a Michael Jordan, and how much of that stuff pushes you?
Yeah, it's hard not to hear that stuff, especially in today's age and social media and everything like that. And so you hear how not good we're going to be, and all you can do is prove it on the football field. I'm not a guy that's going to respond and say stuff back to people or anything like that on social media. I'm just going to go out there and prove it on the football field. And once you do that, there's nothing they can really say.
And you know the line, right? You know the line, the line that we all quote from The Last Dance. And I took that personally. Michael Jordan. And I took that personally. So, I mean, but that's it. And we look at it from the outside and we say, like, why do you need that? You don't need it. You don't necessarily need it, but it's enjoyable for guys like some of those guys. I want those athletes on my side. I want the athletes who are driven, but then they also hear the stuff, and then they're driven even more, and then respond like Patrick Mahomes and not respond like Travis Kelce. That's kind of off-putting. Like Travis Kelce response is kind of off-putting to me, but I like the process.
Don't you feel like most of them all, the greatest ones, the ones they all keep some measure of receipts? Like, like Magic early on was always talking about how he felt like the league embraced Larry, and was always looking at Larry and how the Celtics were anointed and how much that drove him. Larry, Larry, the 3-point competition where he asked, who's finishing second. I mean, it was just ingrained in him.
Yeah.
I grew up on the Pistons. They wanted to keep receipts on everybody. They wanted to just go after everybody all the time. That's just what their mentality was. Brady obviously kept receipts. I don't think Mahomes, here's the thing too, he does keep receipts. Think about when he was on the golf course, right? And somebody mentioned Justin Herbert, and he made sure he had a response to that fan about Justin Herbert. Joe Burrow, he talked about the cigars, right? Like, we should have cigars, or whatever the line was about having cigars. Clearly, that's a little bit of a receipt that he was keeping there. I think this guy is cut from that cloth, and even though he seems to play it a little more chill than maybe some of these other guys do, let him get a little bit older, because the older he gets, I think the more chippy he's going to become when you start to get younger guys who are him now.
Yeah.
He's going to be 32, and there's going to be somebody coming out of whatever school who's supposed to be the greatest ever, and he's going to say, wait a minute. I don't think so.
Right, exactly. But I love this. I love where we are right now in the AFC. I mean, in football in general, because Jalen Hurts on the other side, Jalen Hurts played a hell of a Super Bowl. I mean, an incredible Super Bowl for him. Passing for one, running for three others, over 300 yards. I mean, he was great. But think about this little AFC mix. What I need to happen, I'm not worried about Kansas City, not worried about Patrick Mahomes. They're going to keep fighting. They're going to keep competing. They got 2 Super Bowls. Once you win 2, you won a third. And once you get a third, you won a fourth and all that stuff. Got it. I'm not worried about Buffalo. I want Buffalo. Like, they have it. They've been there. They've been on the cusp. 4 straight, which you love. You thought that was one of the great runs in NFL history when Buffalo got to 4 straight Super Bowls. Okay, got it. Right, so, look, they're hungry in Western New York. I'm worried about Cincinnati and what's around Burrow. Like when Mike Brown made that comment about, listen, we still got to put together a football. We got to put together a football team. No, man. We in football America, we need 3 hungry, talented teams to just fight for it. Because if that happens, we'll get exactly what you're looking for. We'll get like a 1970s kind of thing where you had, well, that's still not a good example because the Steelers won 4 in a decade. But you had the Steelers, Steelers and Raiders, nasty. Okay? Steelers and Dolphins, like the Dolphins won back-to-back in the 70s. And then, they throw the Cowboys in there.
Cowboys, yeah.
Cowboys, so he had all these teams just really, and I just mentioned 3 of them in the same conference, just fighting for supremacy. That's what we need to see. And then Patrick Mahomes will have that rival that you asked for.
But you mentioned the era. That's the problem. What are the eras we're talking about? That wasn't a salary cap era, right? It wasn't a league that was built to cannibalize you as soon as you win a Super Bowl. You win a Super Bowl, and it's not necessarily, I mean, look, all the top tier players get paid. But the funny thing about a Super Bowl is the second tier guys get paid. It's all of a sudden because you're in free agency, you're going, well, geez, he's coming off a Super Bowl roster. You get that Super Bowl bump. I want the best in the world for Jalen Hurts, but they already lost both their coordinators. All right. It's already an uphill climb starting right now going into next season. So there are a lot of factors around that's going to, put that in check.
I thought the Eagles lost their defensive coordinator in the second half of the Super Bowl.
Oh, come on. Come on.
I thought he bounced. He was there? You mean to tell me he was there in the second half? I didn't know. I thought they were like, I thought somebody from like WIP was calling the plays or something like that in the second half.
What's up with that?
Oh, man.
Disrespect.
All right, look. You want to keep talking about greatness? We do too. Ashley Nicole Moss, who's great. Coming up next on Brother From Another. Love you, Charles. Hey, thank you for watching Brother From Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.